Welcome to the Game Changers Podcast, bringing you insights and influencers from the wide world of sports, business, and personal development. Here's your host, former professional athlete, author, speaker, and game changer himself, Rennie Curran. It's time to get your head in the game.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Game Changers Podcast. Once again, my name is Rennie Curran. So fired up to have you listen in. This is episode 22. And before I get started on what this show is going to be about today, I want to first just give you a little bit of update on some things that I've been working on. First and foremost, I've been doing what I've kind of always been doing, which is doing a lot of speaking engagements. I've been traveling to some different businesses, some schools, some associations. And most recently, I got a chance to speak at the Meeting Professionals International chapter here in Georgia, and it was an amazing experience. Got a chance to just really learn about their industry, and that's something that you don't really think about for meeting professionals, that they deal with a lot of things that everyday people deal with. And when I looked at their industry and look at some of the challenges that they deal with, I realized that they are in one of the most stressful, toughest kind of industries that requires a lot of grit, a lot of mental toughness, a lot of just a day-to-day grind. And it made me think about my life as an athlete and my transitions and the different things that I went through throughout my career. The fact that nothing was really guaranteed, the fact that I had to have a team in order to succeed. And there were so many things that really tied into their world. So it was fun getting to speak to them and being able to share with them just the things that really impacted me and really helped me throughout my career, and taking it to their world. Because a lot of times when I go out to speak to different business groups, they'll think, oh, what is this football player going to teach me about my industry, or what is this type of insight is this person going to bring? And so it's cool to be able to really not just go in there and just give a canned speech about my story, but really, really, like I said, find ways to provide value to them. So that was the most recent speech I did. And with school starting back now, I'm looking forward to really starting to go back to the elementary schools, the high schools, middle schools, whichever ones I get. Got some colleges that I'm talking to right now. So, yeah, it's really, really an exciting time to be able to do what I do. And besides speaking, I'm also coaching now. As you all know, Game Changer Coaching is something I've been building. And I've been able to help, whether it's an executive, I've been able to help a few athletes, few business professionals and entrepreneurs, those who are either trying to build their career in some form or fashion. Either they're trying to improve their performance, or they're, the college student who's trying to get their internship or trying to get ready for a big job interview, or somebody who's building their personal brand and wants to take that to the next level by becoming a speaker or writing their first book, and also getting into just general business coaching as well. So it's an exciting time. Life is pretty random. Meet with a lot of people. If you haven't had a chance yet, you check out my Instagram. I'm always meeting with somebody. I'm always just really passionate about networking, about finding out about different industries, and just really seeing how I can create win-win scenarios. That's something that I'm big on. If I'm going to meet with somebody, connect with them, it has to be a win-win. It has to be something where we're trying to build and trying to help each other. And that's what it's all about. You'll be surprised at how many opportunities you'll come across and things that will help you build, whether it's in your business or your career. If you just approach life and relationships from how can we both win? How can we take this relationship? How can we use our skills and talents and just build each other? That's something I've really, really been focused on. And as you all know, besides just getting outside of what I'm doing, I'm really excited because as a former athlete, this is the best time of the year. Football season is getting back in the swing. Guys just reported to camp last week. High school guys, college guys, NFL, everybody's getting into the thick of just the preseason. And this is where all the games are won, really, when you think about it. It's not when them lights come on. It's not when the television games are rolling. It's not any of that. It's this time right now. It's in the training camp. This is when you're building that foundation for the rest of your season. So it's cool to see a lot of the battles that are taking place right now, a lot of the competition. It's all going to kind of play into the season, who gets the starting roles, and ultimately how those teams do. This is where the leadership is built. This is where the camaraderie is built. And so I love this time of the year. And so much of this translates into the business world, into for me, where I'm at now, I've taken a lot of just lessons that I've learned during the training camp moments into my business and how I approach things. So yeah, I'm very, very excited about this football season, seeing how my dogs do, of course. They got a lot of big name players who came in through the recruiting process, a lot of 5-star guys. So, and then they also lost a lot of players to the NFL draft, guys like Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, Isaiah Wynn, list goes on. That was big class because a lot of seniors came back. But I'm excited to see not only where those guys go, but also the new guys who came into the program and those who are going to be taking over now that the seniors are gone. So just getting into the topic for this show, I'm really big on this, and this is something I thought about that holds so many people back, impacts so many people. The topic for this show is, what if I fail? What if I fail? And I thought about this topic because, I follow a lot of different entrepreneurs, and one of the things they always talk about is the fear of failure. And when you think about it, it holds people back. And one of the biggest things that's so damaging about that question right there is a lot of times you don't even get to whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. You don't even get to trying out, that new product or that new business or writing that new book because of this exact thought. It's just like the question that just pops up that either makes you not even take the chance or it like prolongs the process. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are held back because they'll do, instead of taking on that big task or the big role of whatever they're trying to accomplish, they'll just kind of dance around it. So they'll do the little menial tasks. They'll look at the emails. They'll watch the YouTube videos. They'll read the books. They'll do everything possible except for achieving that big task or taking that big task on and just rolling up their sleeves and getting to work. And so I really wanted to address, this topic because I really believe it'll be something that will help you. And the quote that I came across that kind of talks about failure is from none other than Henry Ford. And for those of y'all who don't know Henry Ford, if you don't know Henry Ford, then I feel that I feel bad for you. But basically, he's the guy who came up with Ford Motors. Made a model, the Model T. And I think about where will we be in our society without guys like Henry Ford, guys who are willing to take risk, guys who look like idiots in their day and age. Because when he was coming up, they had the horse and carriage. That was their mode of transportation. And he decided to not conform. He decided to buck the system and to design something totally new. So where would we be like without guys like Henry Ford who decided to just take risks and not worry about whether they're going to fail or not? And the quote he said was, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time intelligently. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time intelligently." And just reading that quote, it makes me think about this, the fact that at some point, how we all have that fear of failure. It doesn't matter where you are in life. You could be in that leadership position. You could be an entrepreneur. You could be a student. And not only the fear of failure, but we have that fear of rejection. We have that fear of other people's opinions and what they're going to say, if they're going to like us or not. I mean, that's holding so many people back, just the fact that they're afraid of what other people are going to say. Take that out of the equation, and I guarantee you see so many more people who are writing books, who are releasing albums, who are just changing the world. Some people have a fear of death. If I do this, it could go horribly wrong. And, I know for me, there's a lot of things that I'm just not going to do because I have a fear that something's going to go wrong. Like, I don't care how safe that thing is. With my luck, it's probably going to go bad. So, just going off from that, fear of public speaking. There's so many people who I come across who are like, man, I would love to get in front of people and share my story and change the world, but I got a fear of public speaking. And, I'm like, man, that's a shame because you could really, really, with your story or with your background or with your experiences, you could impact so many people. And that's what a lot of times we don't think about is the other side of, that failure. What if you were able to get over that failure? How many people could you impact? How many things could you do for your family? How would your community change? And so instead, we focus on, our fear. We focus on ourselves. And so what I really wanted to talk about was how to just really face and overcome just that thought of the possibility of failing. When that thought comes, what do you do to really bypass that and get to work and not be affected by that thought and not allow you to paralyze you? Because that's what it does. Fear really paralyzes you from the things that you can accomplish, from your potential, from becoming the best version of yourself. And I know there are people listening right now. You're trying to accomplish something major. You've been thinking about it your whole entire life. Maybe it's your childhood dream. Like me, my childhood dream was to become a professional athlete. And I know there's, a lot of people listening who maybe you necessarily don't want to become a professional athlete. Maybe you're not an athlete at all, or never wanted to play sports, but it translates to other areas. Maybe you're trying to build a business. Maybe you're trying to get a new job or internship, or maybe you're trying to write your first book, or trying to get into the speaking industry. Maybe you're trying to just, I'm sure we've all had this experience where we're on LinkedIn, or we're in the middle of typing up an email. We're not sure of how to type that thing, and so we get fearful, and so we stop doing it. Or we're about to post some on social media, and we hesitate, and we think, oh, what are people going to think of this? And so we stop. Or maybe you go to a networking event, and you're afraid to even walk in that room or talk to certain people, so you just kind of stay in that corner. So I really, really want, this to be a podcast that helps you just kind of get over that hurdle, get over that challenge, so that when you get into that moment, you have the strength, you have the mental toughness to really believe in yourself and to get over that fear and to make things happen. Because that's ultimately how you're going to move forward in life. It doesn't matter how many degrees you have, how many books you read, how many cool people you know, or how many movers and shakers you know. If you're not willing to take that step forward, get out of your comfort zone, and take action, a lot of things in your life just aren't going to change. It's not going to improve. It's going to be this constant rat race. It's going to be this constant theme of just you facing these same scenarios and fear holding you back. And it can be years before you ever really make that progress that you want to make. And for a lot of you guys listening right now, if you want to be in a leadership position, you want to own your own business, you want to be like the people you might watch on TV, this is where it starts. It starts in the mind. It starts with overcoming those little bitty fears that you might have. And so I really got 4 tips that I feel like will help you be able to get over that thought of failure that might paralyze you. The first tip that I have is to identify all the possibilities of failure and to get that out the way. And when I think about that, I think about when I was trying to write my first book, and I thought about all these scenarios in my head of why it wouldn't work. And I thought about, the fact that I was an athlete at that time. I was, probably 2 years into playing professional football. And so I was just in my mind, I was back home, I got cut. And so I was like, man, who's going to really want to read something by an athlete? And then next thing was like, oh man, I don't know anything about writing. I was always that kid in school who got all the bad marks when I turned in the paper, if it was a 1-page paper. So how am I supposed to write a full-fledged book? And the next thought was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, keep this going after I put it out. Like, how am I going to sell it? How am I going to get it in the bookstores? I just came up with every single scenario possible of why it would not work. And then when it came to failing, I was just like, man, what if I put this out and only 5 people buy? Or it's hot for a little bit and then it doesn't work out after that. And I just went through all those scenarios and finally got to the point where I was just like, all right, what's the worst case scenario that can happen? So I wrote that down. Worst case, if I put it out, only 1 person buys it, which I knew wasn't going to happen, but your mind can make it real. But I realized that if only 1 person bought it and like their life was impacted, they were changed by that, then I had done my job. Then it was all worth it. And once I made up my mind that I was okay with that, I was fine with that, then I went forward with it. And so that's what I believe you got to do. You got to write down the worst case scenario of whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So whether that's starting your business, whether that's making that music album, whether that's designing a new piece of art or whatever it is, write down what the worst case scenario is from that failure, of what you believe that failure is. On the other side of that, though, I believe you, and this is the next step, you got to take it a step forward. Besides just writing down the worst case, besides just writing down all the scenarios of failure, you have to also write down what that failure is going to help you do. What is it going to help? How is it going to help you grow? That's something that a lot of people forget, is that even in failure, like, you're still growing, you're still learning new skill sets, you're still learning new insights. And that's something that, I learned on the football field, was that every time I went up against somebody and I failed, every time I attempted a weight in the weight room and I failed, like, there were still muscles being built. There were still skills I was learning, even when it came to, once again, going back to my business, writing a book. Even though it wasn't a New York Times bestseller, I still learned the process. I learned everything about how to put together a book, how to formulate the thoughts, how to put together a marketing strategy, how to put together a branding strategy, how to approach media and PR after I write my book to get book interviews. I mean, there's so many things that I learned that can benefit people, that can add value to people. So even though in some people's minds, depending on what level you're at, it's all subjective. It can be seen that, because my book didn't sell 20,000 copies, that is a failure, on whatever scale that somebody puts their success on. But at the end of the day, I know I had a lot of wins. I had a lot of success, a lot of things that have helped me to continue to build and to thrive as a business owner. And so once you can do that with those perceived failures, seeing how, okay, if I fail here, this is still teaching me this. I'm still going to be able to learn this on the back end. I'm going to be able to use this in another area on the back end. Man, it's going to set you apart. And so make sure that you do that. It's not just the lessons that you learn. Also, it's the tangible ways, tangible things that you're going to learn from that failure that are going to help you in the future. The next tip is to identify, what if it does work? What if it does work? That's a scenario, once again, that you have to think about. What if you write that book? What if you build that business? What if you launch this new product? What if you create this new page on Instagram and it blows up and it does do well? Then what? I mean, that's something that you really, really have to consider, and something that can be another driver that'll push you over the edge when it comes to having those negative, self-defeating thoughts. Is, what will this do for me if it goes right? Will it help my family, impact my community? Will it create new learning opportunities for other people? That's something we don't think about. The people who are watching us, looking at us to succeed, how will they be impacted? The young kids in the community that you live in, your young brother, young sister, if you have a sibling, how would they be impacted by what you do? So always think about the positive scenarios of whatever you're trying to do or create. Who all around you in your sphere of influence will that benefit? Next thing that I believe, and this is another tip right here that will really help you, and this is whether you're facing that negative thought of failure or anything that might be holding you back, is creating a success resume. That's something I believe, like, a success or a resume should not only come when you're trying to get a new job, or when you're trying to just prove to somebody that you had a list of that you've accomplished something big in the past and you're trying to brag. Success resume is something that I believe that everybody needs to have, to just remind you of what you've been through, the challenges that you overcome, the different things that you dealt with. And that's something that I use. I make sure I keep a track of that every week. I'm writing down what wins that I have, what things that I overcome. How did I grow this week? It could be relationships that I made. It can be, posts on my Instagram that did really well. All those things have a blueprint of success. And once you start to study that, once you start to build up a resume around that, you start to find out, okay, these are my gifts, these are my talents, these are my strengths, these are the areas where the market receives me really well, and this is where I'm valued in the market. So success resume is so important. So just whatever you feel like is something that is an accomplishment, I want you to write that down. So whether that's, you nailed your job interview, or you made this connection with somebody that's a high caliber individual, or you executed on an event, or you did really well on a test, like, start to track all those successes, so that when you're faced with something that seems really big, or a challenge that seems really big, you can automatically revert back to that success resume. And what that does is, when you see something, when you come across something that seems bigger than life, that seems like you don't know if you can overcome it, when you look back at that success resume and your history of things that you overcome, I'm telling you, you'll all of a sudden be like, oh man, I've already overcome this. I already have this skill set. It may not have been the exact scenario, but it'll come in a different form. So you'll be able to remind yourself, man, I've already been here. I know what this feels like. I've been through worse things than this. So I definitely know I can accomplish this or achieve this. And so for me, that was very applicable when it came to public speaking, because I would be preparing for a speech where I'd have to deliver in front of anywhere from 500 to 5,000 people if it was a graduation commencement or something like that. And so I would always have those moments where I'm like, dang, I don't know if I can put this together. I don't know if I'm going to be able to maintain my cool and my composure and be able to deliver. And then I had to remind myself through the same thing, just my success resume, and just tell myself, man, you played in front of 90,000 people. Like, you played in front of all these people before. Like, what makes you think you can't present in front of 300, in front of 500 or 1,500 or whatever it is? What makes you think you can't walk into a room of business owners? What makes you think you can't walk into a company and talk to a sales team about competing? Like, you lived that. You did that. If anybody knows how to talk about teamwork and camaraderie and culture and building an effective team, that's you. And so I had to remind myself of all those experiences that happened in my life. And that once I started to do that and think about my past and think about the struggles that I've had and the things that I've overcome that have gotten me to where I am today, then it just gave me that extra boost of confidence. It gave me that mental rapport. And it made the other challenges that I was facing seem so small. And the last tip I have for you guys is asking yourself this question right here. And it's something I always ask myself when I find myself comparing, or I find myself thinking, am I going to be able to accomplish this, or am I going to be able to do this? I ask myself the question, why not me? Why not me? Why can't I be that household name? Why can't I be somebody who accomplishes something great? Why can't I be the one to build this $1 million business? Why not me? And when I think about that, I think about all the other people who have accomplished something great, and the fact that I'm no different from them. That they, we from the same, some of them same hometown, some of them from worse situations than me, broken homes, tough backgrounds, and they were able to accomplish that. And so when I look at other people's stories, I'm real big on that. Studying other individual stories who've done something great, who've achieved a high level of success, and really just learning from them. And then studying where they are now, seeing, okay, what is this person doing right now that is different than what I'm doing? What are they doing right now to set themselves apart? So once I do that competitive analysis, not in a way that's envious or saying, oh, I'm better than them, or any type of jealousy, but just really, really being a student of the game and trying to learn from my surrounding, from the good and the bad. That's something that's huge. So take those tips with you, man. I really, really hope it helps you with everything that you're trying to accomplish. I'm going to just recap everything because I know I spoke a lot, but number one is identify all the possibilities of failure and get that out the way. So your worst case scenario, you want to identify that. You want to see in your mind, if this thing were to happen, whatever failure that is, would that be the end of the world? Would that be it for me, or would I be okay? Next tip is to identify the positives of that failure and how it will make you grow. So it's not just the lessons, but the tangible assets of what you develop by taking a chance on that failure. The next tip is identify what if it does work? How will that impact my life, my family, my community, those around me, and those in my sphere of influence? Next is creating that success resume. So listen out all those things that you've accomplished, all the things that you've done in your past that kind of have given you the mental toughness and the willpower and the endurance to get through whatever you face now. And lastly, ask, why not me? Always ask that question. When you're looking at that person who's a CEO, or that person who's a celebrity, or that person who you admire, you ask, why can't I be like that? What separates me from them? What are they doing now that's giving them that edge that allows them to be in the position and to thrive the way they do in a consistent way? So guys, with that being said, that's a wrap for episode 22. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Game Changers podcast. And if I can ever help you, if you are out there right now and you need a coach or an accountability partner, somebody who can help you achieve that next level in your career and your personal brand, or you're trying to write your first book or get into public speaking, or you're an athlete who just can't seem to find that edge and wants to move up that depth chart, I've been there. I have so many different experiences. So if you're one of those people who just needs that constant accountability and wants a teammate per se to just help you, man, visit RennieCurran.com. That's RennieCurran, and just let me know I can help you. Also follow me on Instagram as well at Rennie Curran. Once again, RENNIECURRAN. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, all that. So look forward to hearing from you in the future. As I said before, I have a very exciting show coming up for episode 23. It's going to be somebody from the music industry. Not going to tell you who it is, so just be on the lookout. It's going to be a really, really good guest, and it'll be a really good show as well. So I look forward to continuing to just share insights and knowledge and experiences and just other perspectives from those in different industries. Really just help you. So as I always say, continue being a game changer.